Tonight, picket lines were up in Prince George this morning, but the federal government appears to be stepping in to get trains moving once again. Plus, the city is looking at options at preventing urban fires after a report was presented to council on Monday. And a walk was held in protest of the Ministry of Children and Family Development's treatment of Indigenous families. Good evening, folks. I'm Eddie Huband, and welcome to CKPG News. Our top story tonight, 9,000 CN and CP employees walked off the job last night, launching job action that ground railways across the country to a halt. But the job action was short-lived, as the federal government opted to weigh in. Cheryl Jan has more now on the federal government stepping in to get trains back rolling once again.
Members of the Teamsters Canada Rail Conference hit the picket lines last night after being locked up by CN. The sticking points for the union are demands an extension to work days in provinces west of Ontario and attempts to impose a forced relocation policy, which could see workers forced to move across the country. Late in the day, Labour Minister Stephen McKinnon stepped in to get trains moving again. He will use his powers under Section 107 of the Labour Code to ask the Canada Industrial Relations Board to impose final binding arbitration. He also asked the board to order the railways to resume operations under the terms of the current collective agreements until new deals are in place.
That is exactly the premise, is that, and of course the trucking sector does not have the capacity to pick up what rail provides. So you know, as you say, it's about getting those shipping containers delivered to a market and then put on a truck to, right, those tend to be shorter hauls.
Neil Godbout says even a 2-day strike is 2 days too long. No word on when binding arbitration will get the rail cars moving once again. Cheryl Jan, CKPG News.
And the news of the federal government stepping in to get CN and CP back to work has one Northern MP disappointed with the Labour minister's actions. Here's what Taylor Bachrach had to say.
This is a disappointing decision. Less than 24 hours after the lockout, the government has already clearly sided with the two biggest rail corporations in Canada, as opposed to the rail workers that have some very legitimate concerns. We know that the best deals, the best agreements are negotiated in good faith at the bargaining table, and binding arbitration sends a really negative message to working people in this country that their collective bargaining rights won't be upheld by this government. So this is very concerning. I don't think it's a good precedent to set, and I'm not optimistic that the binding arbitration is going to result in something that's durable and something that protects the provisions that the rail workers I've been talking to in communities like Smithers and Terrace, those provisions that protect their rest and protect their safety. It really remains to be seen whether those will be upheld by this government.
To crime news now, $40,000 worth of equipment was stolen from a trailer outside the Ferndale Tabor Volunteer Fire Department on Giscombe Road Wednesday morning. Fire Chief Bryant Campbell says the theft occurred at about 4:30 a.m. with two suspects spotted on camera, though the quality of the footage makes them unrecognizable. He says 4 pumps and 1 chainsaw were taken, noting the pumps are used to protect homes from wildfires. He hopes the equipment will be covered by insurance, but notes it will take at least 3 months to order replacements. If you have any information about this, please call police.
If we get the call to go and put sprinklers up and the wildfire's coming, we put sprinklers on structures in front of the wildfire in the direction it's going. And without those pumps, we can't do it. And those pumps mean we're dead. We're dead in the water without them. I hope it doesn't put me at that much of a risk because they didn't get all of them. We still have enough. I could protect a few structures. Depending on how far the water supplies are, 1 pump might do 3 structures. It may only do 1, depending how far away they are and how far the water supply is. My community is still partially protected, not where I'd like it to be.
A report brought forward to City Council on Monday night looked at the results of enhanced fire patrols in the downtown core conducted by bylaw officers to deter fires and other crime in the area at nighttime. Adam Burles brings us this story.
Between May 18th and June 18th, City of Prince George Bylaw Services and PG Fire Rescue conducted 10 patrols on various days of the week in the downtown core between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. to deter fires and other crime in the area. The goals of the patrols were to gather data, educate offenders, and deter the reoccurrence of fires. The report found that 58 fires were located, some of which were unattended.
That fires are being started by folks in the downtown, often to keep warm, but whatever the reason, it's not acceptable. If you want to get warm, there's opportunities to go inside of shelters or other places, warming centers, but what's not working, obviously, is starting fires in public spaces.
The report also found that people located sheltering on the street, when asked why they did not take up shelter at Moccasin Flats, in almost all instances responded that they fear the criminality that is alleged to be taking place at the site. Others reported that they could not get back into a shelter as they were either not allowed in or that they had left and then could not get back in. Councillor Kyle Sampson says that BC Housing has a role to play.
Just because somebody might be difficult to house, they have some mental health issues or addiction issues that are maybe make them more challenging to house, doesn't mean that BC Housing and the province and the Ministry of Housing gets to abdicate the responsibilities of housing these individuals. That's their responsibility, not ours.
The mayor says that the shelters may not have the services people need in order to stay.
The shelter perhaps is not the place for them because without the wraparound services. And so we're going to have number of homeless people on our street for the time being. Fire happened in the wrong places, and we need to do better. We need to have a better place to designate for these kind of activities.
Going forward, Sampson says that the city could advocate the province for other alternatives.
One of the areas that I think we should be advocating towards is we should be advocating the province to look into involuntary treatment to help folks who are maybe more precariously housed or not housed and maybe not fitting that mold that BC Housing's created, get into treatment to help them rehabilitate.
The city highlighted a number of recommendations in the report to prevent fires, including having garbage and recycling bins be screened in and conducting further patrols in the future. Adam Burrows, CKPG News.
BC Highway Patrol was busy from August 15th to the 18th with focused traffic enforcement on Highway 97 from 83 Mile to Hickson. Over the 4 days, officers issued 151 tickets for a number of violations, including distracted driving, defective vehicles, and 106 speeding tickets. Officers also impounded 4 vehicles for 7 days for excessive speeding, including a red pickup going 148 kilometers per hour in a 100 zone. BC Highway Patrol says they'll be out in full force again during the Labor Day weekend. A northern BC couple is walking across the province to Vancouver to raise awareness for Indigenous children in the care of the Ministry of Children and Family Development. Their walk took them through Prince George, and Tommy Osborne met with them to learn more about the walk and what they hope to achieve.
I want to become a mother, and I want to have a family, and now I finally got it. They ripped it away.
BC couple Kim and Jordan Joseph have been walking across the province for the last 3 weeks to raise awareness for Indigenous children in the care of the Ministry of Children and Family Development, or MCFD for short. Kim and Jordan say MCFD came in one day and took their 4 children into government care one Friday afternoon, and ever since then, they have not been able to see them.
Just look at your children and imagine them not being there, literally just within minutes. It happens within minutes.
Jordan says he's been going through everything MCFD asked of him, including counseling, anger management courses, parenting programs, and more. But Jordan and Kim say MCFD keeps changing the goalposts.
It's very difficult. They just kept changing their demands from us.
MCFD continues to come into our communities. They continue to take our children. They continue to have no real plan for when the children return home.
The MCFD says keeping children safe at home is its top priority and always has children's well-being top of mind.
It is absolutely a last resort for the ministry because we know that kids benefit from connection to family, community, culture. And that's part of the reason that we're in the process of hiring an Indigenous Director of Child Welfare.
Bill C-92 is an act respecting Indigenous communities' jurisdiction over Indigenous children, which Prince feels is not being respected by the MCFD. However, Lore says work is being done to work alongside Indigenous communities, not against.
We just recently signed an agreement with Canada and the Cowichan Nation, recognizing Cowichan jurisdiction. And that collaboration and coordination is happening with many nations right across British Columbia.
However, Kim doesn't believe the MCFD has Indigenous children's best interests in mind, as her lived experience with MCFD makes her worry about what her kids are going through.
They said that my mother's not good enough. She doesn't love us. That there's nobody here. Look, where are people lining up to come visit you? There's nobody there to visit you.
Prince George was just one of many stops with Kim and Jordan's walk, as they plan on ending it in Vancouver. Tommy Osborne, CKPG News.
BC Hydro says there are 2 planned power outages beginning tonight in Prince George. One is an overnight outage covering much of the VLA from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. tomorrow morning, while another outage in the Bull will run from 8 p.m. until 8:30 p.m. tonight, and then again from 5:30 a.m. until 6 a.m. tomorrow. BC Hydro says over 8,000 customers will be affected, adding that the purpose of the outage is to work on equipment. The indefinite curtailment of one production line at Northwood Pulp Mill has begun to see individuals lose their jobs. Paul Lacasse is a tradesman at Northwood Pulp, and he told CKPG News that at the end of the day on August 29th, he will no longer be working at the mill. He notes that he isn't the only one, as several other union employees are losing their jobs, and that this curtailment will have ripple effects across the industry.
In the last 6 years, a huge amount of sawmills and pulp mills have been shut down and curtailed. And it's not just one company, it's the whole industry. And that also is having a trickle effect into logging companies. And you have there's thousands of people that work in the bush.
And we will have a full report on that story tomorrow. In other news, Air Canada pilots say that they voted overwhelmingly to approve a strike mandate, putting them in a position to walk off the job as early as September 17th. The Airline Pilots Association, which represents more than 5,400 aviators at the country's largest carrier, says the vote passed by 98%. The employees have been negotiating with Air Canada since June of last year, with ongoing talks overseen by a federal mediator. That process is slated to wrap up on Monday, followed by a 21-day cooling-off period. Charlene Huddy, head of the union's Air Canada contingent, says the vote sends a clear message to management that pilots are willing to take job action to secure a better contract. Theatre Northwest is looking for folks with a very specific skill set. Every season, the theatre puts on a series of shows, and often it involves very elaborate costumes. The theatre company has a mistress of wardrobes whose job it is to make these costumes, and every show has its own costume designer to design the costumes. But the company is looking for a few good folks who can be seamstresses.
What we're looking for are volunteers who already know how to sew, who can come and help sew costumes. Sometimes this will be sewing a brand new garment from a pattern, and sometimes this will be alterations like hemming or adding buttons, or sometimes it's even deconstructing a piece so that it can be a tearaway piece to use in a play. Anybody who saw our most recent productions of The Hound of the Baskervilles would have seen several costumes that tore away on stage, for a change of character or a change of costume in a farce.
The lowest gas price in Prince George is sitting at $1.63.9 per litre at Costco. The lowest price in the province right now is in Silverdale at $1.50.5 per litre. Manitoba has the lowest fuel prices on average in the country at $1.43.1 per litre, while BC has an average price of $1.71 per litre.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit domino's.ca to join the club.
Heading into the second month of the season, the Prince George Kodiaks are looking to get back in the win column this weekend at Massage Place after a very tough loss last week. Jaden DeMello caught up with head coach Jamie Borum earlier today and tells us more about the matchup.
The Kodiaks returned to Prince George this weekend following a loss to the Okanagan Sun and trying to snap a 4-game losing skid. But despite that, head coach Jamie Borum isn't worried about the motivation heading into Saturday.
Confident of the people in the room. They are the right guys, and they're learning through this, and it's a struggle. Young guys, young team trying to find a way through being down, right? So we've had a couple guys step up this week in terms of leadership, and that's been good. Practices have been a little bit more enthusiastic. There's a better level of compete, and I think guys are going to be ready this weekend. Like, it takes a lot of work on a weekly, daily basis to find a way to win a football game. There's just so many components to it. So being consistent, playing at the proper speed, being, not hurting ourselves. That's going to be a big one for us. Kamloops, that's awesome. They're coming here, but the biggest thing is we're coming home. We're coming home, our fans, our people, our town, and boys need to respond.
Come out to Massage Place Stadium this Saturday to support the Kodiaks as they take on the Kamloops Broncos and look for their first win since the season opener. Jaden Amello, CKPG News.
The TSX is down 84 points to close at 23,037. The Dow Jones is down 178 points to close at 40,713. And CN Rail went up 90 cents to close at $156.18.
Good evening again, everyone. We are in for a pretty nice Friday to end off our work week, but looking back at the satellite, yeah, it was a really nice day overall. Not a lot happening where we are. There has been some action south of us, down through the parts of Vancouver Island especially, and much of the south coast dealing with some rain there and south of the border. But overall where we are, yeah, things are looking pretty nice as we head into our Friday. So we'll call it a mainly sunny day for our Friday. Our Futurecast showing a bit of a change, though, maybe Friday night and Saturday, where we could have a few showers trickling in, but it's really going to be a noticeable change going into Sunday throughout much of the region, where we have temperatures really dropping and going to start to see a cooler and wetter pattern as we move towards next week. So things are certainly going to change. Highs tomorrow across BC look pretty good, though. 31 Kamloops, close to that in Kelowna, although a risk of a thunderstorm with daytime heating there. And then, as I mentioned, it's been pretty unsettled down through the south coast. Up in the Peace, it was a gusty day today, 23 for your high tomorrow, and we'll sit around that as well. 22 in Vanderhoof, sun cloud mix. It'll be mainly cloudy Burns Lake, and things are going to change a little bit going into Saturday for Burns Lake, where there are some showers or even rain changing over to showers. 22 in Mackenzie, warmer down through Quesnel with some sunshine. Vancouver, not too bad, 20 degrees as we see the afternoon approach. 30 in Edmonton, though, so you can see it's starting to really heat up as we go further east. We've got some warmer air moving into parts of Alberta, Saskatchewan, even into Winnipeg as well. Parts of Manitoba, particularly Winnipeg, heating up to about 29, 30 degrees with lots of sunshine. So it still feels like summer in the middle of the country, but certainly a bit of a different story as we head towards the end of the weekend and early next week. 25 Montreal, 26 in Toronto, still pretty good weather there as well. So sun cloud mix for our weekend, as I mentioned, but we do have pockets of precipitation that you will notice as we move through the day. So Burns Lake 7 tonight, up to 20 with clouds tomorrow. A really nice Saturday, and then a big difference in temperatures and conditions for Sunday and Monday. Highs of only 14 on Monday and really only 16 on Sunday. So a much cooler trend for sure. Mackenzie, clear skies tonight, down to 9, 22 for your high tomorrow. I'm going to go back because we skipped the rest of the days. There we go. 22 degrees in Mackenzie for your afternoon tomorrow. Lots of sunshine. And then after that, it is really unsettled, especially going into our Sunday and early next week, where those temperatures take a real big drop down to the mid-teen degree range. So it is going to be a much different story there. McBride 5 with chilly conditions tonight, but you will warm up quite a lot tomorrow despite a few afternoon showers. It'll still get up to about 28, and then a huge difference on Saturday from 28 all the way down to 16 for the high. Rain throughout the day. It will taper off here and there through the afternoon. You'll be left with a cloudier Sunday and then back to some stormy weather on Monday. Quesnel, back and forth weather is what we'll call this, because we've got some good weather for tomorrow. Bit of a disturbance on Saturday, back to a drier day on Sunday, and then, yes, more rain in the forecast next week. So for us in Prince George, we're going to cool down to about 7 tonight, 23 degrees our high tomorrow. Really nice day in store for us tomorrow. Saturday looks pretty good as well. And then we're going to see the temperatures really take a drop, especially by early next week. But we will have a cloudier day Sunday, few showers in the mix for the afternoon, and then showers changing over to rain for Monday before we get into a cooler trend.
CKPG Sports is delivered by Domino's. Join the Domino's Lunch Club with 25% off all regular price pizzas every day. Visit Domino's.ca to join the club.
Tonight showcases the best of yesterday's Major League Baseball action on the diamond. It's all here in tonight's CKP3 with Jaden DeMello.
There was certainly no lack of power on the plate in the MLB on Wednesday.
High fly ball, right field, going back. Noel on the track at the wall. He's done it again. 46th home run.
You're probably sick of hearing it.
Driven deep to right. Oh, he did. Yes, he did. Another one. He goes the other way. 2 home runs for Judge.
Aaron Judge remains the hottest hitter in the majors with his league-leading 47 home runs to carry the Bronx Bombers to victory. And the Yanks' AL East rival Rays also got some help from the long ball last night.
And now it's Jose Siri.
Well hit into left field. Back-to-back nights for Jose Siri.
While it might have looked like a minor league attendance in Oakland, Jose Siri's late homer secured a big league win for Tampa. Now there's not much better than a game-winning home run, except for what Nolan Arenado showed us in St. Louis.
Arenado, deep left, has he done it? Goodbye!
Arenado's grand slam secured the Cardinals the win in extra innings in style to wrap up tonight's CKP3.
But that's all for tonight, folks. Thanks for joining us as always. We will be back tomorrow. Have yourself a great night.